Well, hello, and thank you all again so much for tuning in to another episode of the Professional Pricing Society podcast. My name is Terrence, and today's discussion, we have an amazing duo with us tackling the conversation about utilizing artificial intelligence with their upcoming workshop at our fall conference in Las Vegas this year in October. Their speaking session is titled "Stopping the Quoting Madness: Use AI." We have Brooks Hamilton and Lydia D Liello. Brooks Hamilton is the founder of Hamilton AI Strategy Advisors, which is an Austin-based consultancy specializing in crafting AI strategies for Fortune Global 1000 companies, family-owned businesses, and high-growth startups. And we have Lydia D Liello, CEO and founder of Capital Pricing Consultants, with more than 25 years of business leadership, supply chain, and global pricing expertise. She delivers exceptional results through strategy, process, and technology. How are we doing today?
Really well, Terrence. How about you?
Doing very well. Such a pleasure to have you all on the podcast once again. We've had you on in previous years, and so it's a pleasure to be able to speak with you, Lydia, and you, Brooks, as well. I want to go ahead and just dive into this conversation because it's ahead of our conference, and the topic is kind of based on artificial intelligence, and obviously this is one of the kind of buzzwords. It's not a new concept, but it is starting to feel like AI is taking off the ground with more and more force behind it. Regarding your upcoming speaking session, what do you foresee participants to get out of this session that you all think they'll be able to apply even as soon as the following week of this conference?
We're really excited about demonstrating for participants how they can go ahead and use AI techniques and tools in their jobs immediately. This is going to be a hands-on session. So we're not talking about history or theory, but we're talking about what they are going to be using and how they can use these techniques uh, right away. I think what's especially fun about this is they're going to get to practice a variety of skills. Usually in pricing matters, we talk about the analytics and the data, which is going to be part of it. But we also are going to get to talk about things like how do we make other parts of our lives easier that are stress inducing, like, whew, I've got to go write that letter to send to my customers in order to talk them through the price increase that's coming. And maybe even worse, what are the talking points that I use as I go talk to my sales team about why we're going to have to push through this price increase? So we're really going to walk through a wide gamut of activities and ways that they can make their lives less stressful and easier using the tools around them.
Okay, good, good. Sounds exciting, and especially for myself, one of the earlier things you mentioned is that it's hands-on, and that's, half of the fun, being able to apply things, within the actual session itself. If you don't mind me asking, how did you all kind of come up with this idea or this concept to, to do this session?
Well, Brooks and I had started talking about ways to combine AI and pricing together and realized that there was a huge gap in terms of everyone is bombarded in the news by AI. But
Mhm.
how do you really use it, most especially from a pricing standpoint? What are the techniques and the tips that you can implement immediately to make your job faster and easier so that participants are spending their time focused on analysis and not on all of the rote parts of the job, which are so painful. And so Brooks and I have both been in the pricing space a long time and realizing those pain points and that there's an easy way to address that is really the genesis that started this conversation.
Mhm. That's good. That's good. Okay. And just kind of glancing over the total landscape of AI and companies utilizing AI type of tools, what do you see in terms of business adoption when it comes to AI technologies and its products?
The adoption has been pretty fascinating to watch. we in November of 22, we had the moment of ChatGPT came out and turned everybody's heads around. But that didn't mean that there were products which immediately fit against the type of tasks that pricing teams engage in. There are certainly the data security questions, but in addition to that, there's the matter of how the pricing process itself is modeled within these tools. So what we are finding is the set of tools that are available are really just now coming to market, but we have seen some excellent tool usage for ways in which to drive sales, like enabling the RFP process, as well as finding how to drive additional sales among current accounts, and then save money on inventory and have more efficient cash usage, as well as making a lot of the rote tasks that we have to engage in when moving data from one system to Excel to another system a lot faster. So those are the areas where we're beginning to see adoption, is sales, marketing, supply chain. And now I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to see those same technologies applied to pricing, both in terms of strategic contracts, as well as items like how do I identify where my areas of opportunity are, and profiling my customers that were not necessarily available as well as inexpensive in the past, but are increasingly so. So lots of opportunity. And as far as I can see, this is all just beginning in the industrial economy.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, a plethora of opportunities. Usually when I talk with individuals about AI, one of the first things I mention is the efficiency, speeding up the process of big data, and that entire process can just be simplified just regarding the efficiency of whatever AI tool they're using for that. But like you said previously, it's starting to open up more sales opportunity. Um, and that'll be super interesting to hear you all talk about as well, because I view AI as something that is kind of it's not new, but it is taking off the ground. And so I feel like we are seeing its kind of early stages especially as it pertains to pricing and the whole pricing industry as a whole. And so what tasks are best suited for AI adoption?
So some of the things that we've talked about, Terrence, and that we'll be going through in the session are, we're really going to focus on managing RFPs, requests for proposal, and the tasks specifically that take all of the time, like product matching. Because when you don't have consistency of data, right? Where do pricing people spend hundreds and hundreds of hours? Things like product matching, because the data is not complete, because there's a space, because somebody omitted a digit, all of those things that we all have grappled with all of these years. So we're going to look at things like the product matching, as well as look at tasks where we say, hey, maybe this is something you don't want to apply AI to, so that folks can walk away with an understanding of where does AI fit and where should we leave it alone. So for example, if you're handling a situation with a customer where you've got an angry customer, and this is customer relationship management, you really don't want to leave that to AI. You want a person involved in that. If you're looking at data matching, if you are looking at data sorting, if you are looking at providing back data sets with kickouts, meaning it runs a set of data and tells you, hey, these don't look quite right. Do you want to have a look at these before we make any adjustment? AI is great at that. But if you're talking about customer specific relationship building, then you definitely want a human as part of that loop. And so each of those pieces is something we're going to delve into as part of the workshop.
They're trying to humanize like automated messages, and it's kind of in a similar context. Sometimes it's just easier and quicker to get the job done when there's a human involved, and so that'll be also super interesting to hear you guys talk about in this upcoming speaking session. Regarding AI expectations, how much time in savings can we kind of expect regarding the quoting process in the realm of pricing?
Yeah. So if we think about quoting, there's some really neat advances that have been made there. Um, Number of firms have looked into how to take the emails, phone calls, and images, PDFs, all of those things that we typically get in inside sales or a customer sales service rep role in that represent an order. And it takes some time to translate, find the right parts, match the IDs, and make sure that you have the right number of colors that they wanted, all that good stuff. That's tough. That takes time. But what we've seen is these organizations have been able to reduce the order creation process by about 90%, which is enormous. Also, the impact of that is there are fewer errors. And when you combine those things, that you're the first one to respond and your quote doesn't have errors in it, chances are your win rate goes up. Maybe not a lot, but definitely some. Things are going to be won and lost just depending upon how quickly and accurately you're able to come back to the prospective customer.
This is such an interesting topic to me in particular. But that's cool regarding AI expectations. When it comes to profitability, in your opinion, what do you see the overall impact of AI adoption on the industry profitability? Overall impact, I should say.
Yeah, I think that's to some extent the jury is still out on this,
Mm,
but maybe let me explain why. There's a lot of activity going on at the stage of pilots and early rollouts, but those results haven't necessarily been widely shared. So we see some great activity. We know that there are substantial changes going on within the cost basis of organizations as well as sales velocity. And I think as the next 12 months unfold, we'll begin hearing about just how substantial the returns on those projects have been. But one of the neat things that we see about this realm is the returns do tend to be, I think, higher than typical SaaS product type returns. Also, we note that a lot of these projects, definitely not all, but a lot of these projects can also be implemented more quickly, or the footprint that it takes in the organization is lower, which leaves a lot of opportunity to really go experiment and pilot some of these and see which work for the organization and which they want to pass on for now.
interesting.
And I think this is also a case where, because Brooks, to your point about cost reductions are happening at the same point in time, that sales velocity is increasing. And along with that sales velocity is also, in my opinion, from what I've seen so far, a likelihood that you are going to achieve higher price points because now your data is more accurate, more specific, and you know more about your customer because your pricing folks are spending their time on analysis, not on data crunching to get to that data set to analyze. And
Mm,
so I think there's going to be an extra lift there that really hasn't been calculated. And I'm going to be very excited to see how that really does play out from a profitability standpoint for companies.
yeah, that's a good point. There's more time spent studying, the customer versus data sorting and everything else that can be simplified and essentially expedited with an AI tool. So that's good. Uh, you all talked about what the participants are likely going to get out of your session. Is there anything in particular you hope that they leave with, or anything you're most excited for them to leave with?
Yes, I think that they are going to leave with a feeling of, uh, I think that they are going to leave the session feeling empowered by the information they know, much more comfortable with the tools that they have available to them, as well as, we hope, brimming with enthusiasm to see where they can apply these, not just in the areas that we pointed out during the session, but all the hundreds of other areas where this can be applied.
I would add to that a sense of confidence, because I've talked to so many people who say, well, I don't know if that session's right for me because maybe it's too technical. And I keep reassuring people, it's not, the technical piece isn't challenging. We've laid this out so easily and so step by step. It's very much a primer, Terrence. So literally, you can walk in the doors going, I don't even know what AI stands for. And when you finish the course, the next week you're going to be able to go out and get on Chat GPT and say, can you write me a letter to my customer for a price increase? And be confident in your approach to do that, and not have questions about, is it safe and how do I do this and what do I do? So I'm really excited to be able to share that level of knowledge and understanding with the participants and help them build that confidence.
Okay, that's good. This is further caters to the excitement for this session with which you guys are going to be spearheading in the fall. The dates are October 22nd through the 25th in Las Vegas. Now, I'll leave you all with this question as well for both of you. Where can listeners go to learn more about yourself, to learn more about maybe the company you're with, what you stand for, and of course, they can always go to priceandsociety.com/PPS Vegas 24 to register for the conference. But are there any additional resources or websites or areas where people can go to learn more about you all?
So for Lydia, you can go to capitalpricingconsultants.com, or you can email me directly at lydia@capitalpricingconsultants.com.
For me, our website is strategyadvisors.ai, and easily enough to reach out to me is brooks.hamilton@strategyadvisors.ai.
Okay. Straightforward, to the point. Awesome. We want to thank you both for your time today. We're super excited to have you both also in the conference coming up. If for those of you who are interested in learning more, feel free to visit their resources, their websites, and to learn more about their workshop on our website at priceandsociety.com. Until then, we will see you all in Vegas. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.